Hi, I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, here to give you the quick tea on luxury makeup, and today we are going to be talking about the Natasha Denona Xenon palette. I'm really excited to talk about this palette with you today because I'm actually really enjoying this one. And I have to think, I had a really good friend of mine for my birthday actually get this for me. She knew that it was something that I would like. These kind of shades are totally up my alley. But because of that, that's actually why I hesitated getting it, because, who doesn't have, these type of tones in their collection? Maybe you don't. But if you're a lover of smoky eye looks like me, if you like cool tones, if you love shimmers, I have these kinds of tones in other palettes. So I convinced myself that I don't need it. But I'm happy she got it for me. So let's break this down. At this point, I have done 4 looks with this eyeshadow palette. This is number 4. Now, I will preface with this specific look. The shimmers are from the Xenon palette, but I did pull mattes from her other palettes because I wanted to play her along, have fun with this last look, and use it more like a companion palette. And just to switch things up, to add some more mauve-y tone matte. So I took a matte from the Lila palette. I took the matte from the My Dream palette. And then I used the shimmers from this shade. So just to switch it up, but don't worry. I do have looks where I did just use the Xenon palette. So the 4 looks, I'm going to have 2 demos for you, and then 2 just still pictures that I took of some looks that I did. So don't worry, you'll get to see some more looks besides this, so that in one way or another, I have incorporated all the shades. So there might be, there were a couple times that I might have pulled some mattes from other palettes, but I always use mainly shadows from this palette. Okay, so watch the demos, check out the looks, and then we're gonna have a swatch party. We're gonna swatch these, and then I'll give you my final opinion about these shadows. All right, let's do a look together. Let's first off and see if these gray tone mattes can work on my skin tone, especially this one. So we'll see how light it is. Ooh, okay. All right, but we're gonna make this work. But I just wanted to do this so we could fully know what we're dealing with. We're going for it. I know this is a shade that would scare most. I'm not fearful of cool tones. I love cool tone shades. Now, I'm a golden neutral, and I totally understand for those who are golden, warm golden. These are rough colors to pull off. Since I'm golden neutral, I can pull off cool tones a little better than some people can. But yeah, once I've really blended this into the skin, it's actually not as bad as you would think. Let's bring some depth to this look. So still going the gray, but just to bring some depth. So this is a pretty shade. Potentially could have just started with that, but I want to use all the shades so we can see what we're working with. And I love to do a gradient with my matte. So to start with the lightest and then deepen things there. So that's pretty. Went ahead and did the other side. Now we're gonna bring some serious depth with this more black toned shade called Night Sky. And we'll go deep into the crease. So like I said, I just, I do that traditional technique where I build things up. Start with a big fluffy brush with the lightest shade, medium-sized blending brush, and then I'll go with the smaller one deep into my crease to provide a gradient. I'm gonna finish the other side. So I went off camera to just make sure everything was all blended. So let's take a break from the mattes and time for some shimmers. So let's start with this one, Groove. We're gonna do that in the inner third. Oh yeah, that has some nice shine to that. Ooh, I'm gonna do it on this other side. Yeah, that's pretty. That is pretty. Gonna flip the brush. And this is one I've been really excited for, Ebb. because it has some blue undertones, it seems like. And if you know me, I love blue. So a blue tone gray is one of my favorite type of shades. So beautiful. Just testing out using my finger. I mean, the Sony G Builder 3 is such a good brush. That's really not necessary, but just wanted to test it out. More shimmer. Super Ionic. It's probably one of the more chunkier shimmers in the palette. Woo, yes, you already know what this is gonna do. I'm gonna just put, just a little bit. I'm gonna put the excess on this side. Oh my God. Yeah, I only need to go in once for both sides. Yes. Shimmer. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, we are shimmering today. Using Victoria Beckham's Ash liner. This glides so easily. Oh, my favorite formula for eyeliner. It just feels like this just works perfectly. I can also use the other end sponge tip to smoke out the lower lash line. I can even drag it to my outer V as well. Not necessary, but I'm just going back into the ebb and just going over the liner, especially in the inner, just to see if it gives any extra. All right, so I added liner and mascara to complete the look. And yes, I am loving this eye look, the sparkle, the smokiness. You know, I'm loving this combination. If you're curious, on the lips, I have Uma Beauty Aretha and your Rosewood, a Rosy Glow blush on the cheeks. But yes, dig into this eye look. Okay, for this look, I'm gonna combine this with some other Natasha Denona palettes. I'm actually breaking out the first palette I ever bought from Natasha Denona, the Lila palette. I haven't used this in forever, but I just want to use some mattes that, they're still gonna be cool tone, but just a little bit warmer than what's in the palette. And I just thought it would be a good excuse to use a different palette. I just wanted to do a look that also just had a little bit of mauve to it. But we're gonna use the shimmers from the Xenon palette. So we're just taking mattes from some other iconic Natasha Denona palettes. Okay, so that was the shade Per Se from the Lila palette. Next, I'm going into the My Dream palette. I just wanna add some purple to this tone, so I'm adding the shade called Edgy. I just wanted to make this look have some purple mauviness to it, not be so, as much as I love gray, I just wanted to switch it up and not have this look be super, super grayed out. So I thought some purple, cool tone purples will work well. Okay, we are going to the Xenon palette, probably my favorite shade, Snowbrow, because I just feel like it's the most multi-dimensional shade in the palette. You know, everything kind of has a silvery base, and you might not appreciate it here, but it has like some pinky undertones and even some blue sparkles to this one, so it just has more dimension. So I hope you could appreciate the shine. I think you can appreciate the shine on this, the sparkles. that this shade brings. Now I'm going to ebb, another fave. This has like a blue tone to this one, so I'm putting this on the outer edge. And what I'd like to do is then use this shade called Skift, because it's more like topper. On its own, it's really not that impressive, to be honest. But figure you can put it on top of another shade and it can provide some sparkle and dimension to the look. Now Skift does work fine on as an inner corner highlight on its own. So there you can appreciate the sparkle. It's just, if you try to just put it on the lid by itself, it doesn't have a base. So if you want a subtle sparkle in your inner corner, I think that's pretty, or you can use it on top of another shade. Right, so once again, I put the ebb on this side so you can see how it looks on its own, and now I'm putting Skift as a topper. Hope you can appreciate, because I know I'm only using it on the outer third. But you can see how that changed up that shade a bit. Okay, we still need some depth to this eye. So I'm actually gonna go into the smoky shade Splash. It's like a gray-black, just to give some depth in my crease. So, you know, the purple brought the warmth, but we're gonna bring back the coolness with that shade. I think this actually works well, actually. You know, grays and purples, I think pair very well. So, you know, we're still going, yes, with a cool eye look, but using the purple just did warm it up a bit so that it's not too cool tone. So especially for those of you who might have like a super golden undertone and that can't pull off straight up gray shades, you could use like a purple to bring some warmth, but still bring in the gray. And that way you can do a cool tone look that will be more compatible and palatable with your undertone. I'm still gonna add some more of the gray tone shadow just so that we can connect the look. Because as much as I appreciate the purple, I don't want to lose the grayness either. I want this all to be connected. All right, we're back. So I went ahead, added liner, mascara, Chanel blush, Hermes lipstick. Let's get a little bit closer, and I'm going to bring the light in too as well so that you can appreciate the sparkle on this. How gorgeous. So I wanted to do this demo just to show that you can also use the Xenon palette as a companion palette. So if you're not in the mood to do a super, super grayed out matte, you know, using those grayed out mattes, you can pull some warmer, you know, I've done neutral brown browns before. I did more mauvey tones here. So you can, you know, warm up the look a little bit if you don't want it super, super all grayed out look. But yes, I am loving this look. I'm hoping that you can appreciate the sparkle. I think, you know, obviously the shimmers steal the show. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. So what I want to first do is swatch these, and then I'm going to give you my opinion. Overall, I am liking these shadows, but I'll give you maybe some specific opinions about certain shadows. So I think by swatching it, we'll get a better idea. So we're going to first start with the first one called Rhyme. So this, I was going to say silvery shade it is, but you know, you're going to hear me say silver gray, black a lot. So this is this shade, and we'll start at the top. Sorry, I always give the middle finger when I'm swatching. So I hope you can appreciate the shine and sparkle of that. So nice, beautiful silver shimmer. Next, we have Cygnus. I really like this one. So this has like a black base, a black gray gunmetal, you know, I would say gunmetal base, and then it has, you know, some like silver shimmer. So how gorgeous is that? So beautiful gunmetal shimmer shade. So this is one of my favorites from the palette. Next, we're gonna have Stellar in the center. So, all right. So another light silver shimmer shade. So, as we're gonna go down, there's a very specific color story. So the differences are gonna be slight. This has more of a better base to this one compared to this one. So here you can appreciate the sparkles, the crystal sparkles more than this one, but then this one just gives you a better base. All right, now we're gonna get to a matte. So we got Blizzard. So this shade here, this light gray matte shade, there's that. So, and I've used this on my eye. I've already showed you, look, I've used it. It works on my skin tone. I used it kind of to, as my first initial shadow, and then I went in with some of the deeper ones. So especially, having it higher up, closer to the eyebrow, it still works, and I didn't look crazy. Gru is this last deeper silver shimmer. Okay, so there you go with the first row. All right, next we have Ebb. I really like this because this gray shimmer has a blue undertone. As you know, I love blue. So blue silver is like an ultimate, like it was actually one of the major shades that why I wanted it was for this one, because it has a blue undertone to it. So it makes it a little bit more unique from the straight silver shades. Next, we have Super Ionic. Now this one is a definite great shimmer shade here. This is going to be really sparkly. You can see a little, I didn't deal with a lot of fallout, but you can see there's more, bigger sparkles and flakes with that one. So there we go. So this one really shines brightly. Okay, next we've got Splash. Okay, so this matte, it's a black, but it's more like a grayish black, so not a black back. So this palette really leans gray, so you're not getting a true black in this palette, which I necessarily don't mind, but just be aware that if you're expecting a black, you're not really getting that. She has other palettes that have a black, but this one is a grayish black. Next is probably maybe my favorite shadow in here. It's called Snowbrow. This is the one that, depending on what pictures you might have saw online, you're like, is it pink or is it not pink? And it's because it really is multi-dimensional, this one. So it's silver, but it has like a pink undertone. And then there's even kind of like bluish flakes to it. So it's really got some dimension. And, even showing you here, I don't think you can truly appreciate it. It's what's on my lid. One of the still pictures that I showed earlier, I think that one you could appreciate the dimension. It's kind of hard, even if I turn off the ring light or keep it on. I don't know. It's like you have to see it in person because you're thinking it's just a straight silver. In person, this has some like a pinky undertone to it. It's not going to be pink, but that pinky undertone is what makes this one a unique shade, and it's got beautiful shine to it. So this one is really great. Okay, next we're going to Night Sky. And so this one's going to be blacker than the last one. So deeper than this one, still more of a gray black, not the blackish black. But you could see the level of depth has, increased with this one compared to this matte. All right, now we're going to go into the last row. As we get into the last row, we have some more mattes coming up. So here is probably like the lightest matte, Contrail. So this is one, especially if you have a deeper skin tone like myself, is the one you're going to be scared of because it looks essentially white, especially against our skin tone. So that is that one. So obviously with that kind of color, I didn't even bother trying to use it like as a transition shade or anything like that. So in the all matte look that I did, I used that all over my lid. And that's, you know, when you get a shadow that is very white base for our skin tone, the only place you can really use it is on the lid or as an inner corner highlight. We're not going to be able to pull it off, you know, in our crease, because then you're going to look crazy. But this shade, Snert, this you can definitely put in your crease. So this is a great shade. So this, and it might even, the lights are probably washing this out, but this got some depth to it. So this is one where I definitely use that in my crease. You know, I'd put this one and then this one, and it worked. So that one actually does work on my skin tone. Neve, and we got this bottom shimmer shade. So another one. So, you know, obviously, is it much different than up here? There's a difference, but not huge. Not huge. I'll admit that. We got two left. We got Flurry. So this is another very light ivory matte. So on my skin tone, again, not to be used in the crease. I did that on my lid. So the two whitest shades are what I use on my lid in inner corner when I did the all matte look. So that's how you make it work when you're our skin tone. So you can use these shades, it's all about placement. And the last one is Skift. There's some really interesting names here. I have to say this one, you know, looking at it in the pan, I was really excited for it because, you know, I'm like, oh, this one is more taupey, a little bit different than all these other ones that are so icy. It would be nice to have a taupe. This one I have to admit, and sorry, I'm like getting to my elbow. It's not, it doesn't give you the exact same shine like these two do. It really doesn't. I mean, I can even put it on the palm of my hand if you're questioning about my placement, but you can see, to be honest, it's really more of a topper shade. So because of that, like putting this just on my lid is a little bit underwhelming. Now it works on my inner corner, so that's pretty. And then what I did that you saw in my demo is that I tried putting this on top of another shade like the Ebb. So what you can do is that, like, I've tried, you could put this shade on top of like either these two mattes, and that'll work. But to be honest, then you're almost kind of recreating this shade, and then you might as well just stick to this one because then that's a better version of that. You could probably put it against these lighter mattes, but you know, you could do that. So you could put this against these mattes. I put this one against on top of Ebb for today's look, and that just gave some extra dimension. So so this one works as a topper shade, or you can use it in the inner corner if you don't want it to be as blinding as some of these center shades. So okay, so you know, I had mentioned that one of the reasons I hesitated getting this palette, not because I knew I'd like it, but I said to myself, I'm pretty sure I have these kinds of shades. So that got me thinking. So like when I was making the my eye looks, one of my favorite shades was this one called Snowbrow, and this is the shade, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to appreciate it like I said, but it's silver, but it has like a pinky undertone. There's even some really like blue micro glitters, and what it kind of made me think of is Pat McGrath's first palette, one of my favorites. Obviously, you could see the color story is reminiscent, cool tone, but this special shade from Pat McGrath. So let's compare this. Yeah, it feels different. You know, Pat has a different quality. I do have an affinity to Pat, so I will admit that. But it made me think of this. Obviously, not exactly the same. This is heavier on the blue. It's heavier on the blue shimmer. You know, they both have the dimension, and I don't know if you're gonna appreciate it on camera. The thing about this special shade from Mcgrath, which is like my absolute fave, is that it does shift pink. You're not seeing it on camera, but it does shift pink, but then it does have a strong blue sure. As you can see, Natasha's great, but there's a different level of reflectivity from Mcgrath. So even though it's reminiscent, you know, Pat is different, I have to admit. That's just for fun. You know, there's this shade, which is not a special shade, but has a lilac kind of it's gray, but lilac base to it. And that's what I was saying too, like, you know, maybe they could have put like a lilac base shade in there. Just for the hell of it, let's do the matte. It has gray and black in there, but it's more of a straight gray, and this is more of a grayed out brown, where these are true grays. So that's comparison with Mcgrath. I got some Tom Ford to compare. Okay, so my main hesitancy with getting Natasha Denona's Xenon palette was because of a couple of my Tom Ford palettes, 3 in particular. So first one I'm gonna pull up is Double Indemnity. This is, I'm telling you, these are like my top 3 Tom Ford palettes. So that's why, you know, I'm telling you when I mean smoky looks, I love these. So I'm gonna just do these two, these two in particular. I'm gonna put them up high just to compare to, but you can see how it has a vibe. Now this is more taupier than what we have here. And this is blacker. I mean, I was trying to compare it to this one, but this one still has more of a blacker base. All right, got some more. Okay, next is Soleil Neige. So you can see why I want to compare these ones. So let me do in the bottom 2 shades. So when I was talking about like Ebb, you could see that blue tinted, yeah, like these 2 are very reminiscent of these 2 shades. So if you have Tom Ford Soleil Neige, this is definitely reminiscent. You probably don't need this palette, but at the same time, if you missed out on this because this was limited edition, this is not available. So just for the hell of it, this is the taupier shade that's in the palette. Kind of like what we're hoping out of this shade. So yeah, this one, and you know what? Also, let's do this one because I feel like this palette in particular, yes. If you own Soleil Neige, I know it's only 4 shades, and Natasha Denona has like 15 shades, but the 4 core colors are in this already. And like I said, there is some redundancy within the palette. So if you own this, you don't necessarily need Natasha Denona. But if you missed out on this and you love Natasha Denona's palette, you could get that whole same feel. So that's where I think this is a great match. Okay, last comparison. This is Tom Ford Metallic Denim. I'm telling you, these are my top 3 from Tom Ford. So that's why my friend knew this was my kind of palette. So you can see again, like the blue tone, this is more teal, but still blue tone, silver, the gunmetal black shimmer there. For the hell of it, we're gonna do the top 2. These are more taupey in nature, but still, let's do them more taupey gold. These are warmer than the ones that you find here. So these are definitely icier. Once again, we could try to compare it to this one, but still, these 2 are much warmer than those, but these 2 shades are kind of similar. So once again, if you have metallic denim, if you have, especially Soleil Neige, if you have Soleil Neige, then you don't necessarily need to get Natasha Denona's. If you missed out on these 2 palettes and you missed out and you're sad about it, well, get Natasha Denona because you're going to get the same feel from it. There you go, and you get more bang for your buck, the amount of shadows you get for the price. Tom Ford, for 4 quads, it's $90. So this is a big difference compared to like Natasha Denona's like $65 for like 15 shades. So obviously you get more bang for the buck. I do find that Tom Ford has a special formula. I love Natasha Denona, but Tom Ford does have a special formula, so I appreciate having the different formulas. But honestly, you don't necessarily need both if you have one or the other. So now that we have swatched all of these, what do I think? So, I mean, obviously, if you're going to get this, you have to like cool tones. You have to like smoky shades. You have to like gray. You got to like gray. You know, this is a very gray silver palette, you know? So if these aren't your colors, you're not going to like it. Obviously, since I do like these kind of colors, then I do like this palette. Is there some redundancy? Well, let's keep it real with Natasha Denona. She makes redundant shades all the time. Like, for example, the bronze palette. You know, and sorry if I'm offending anybody, but like, you know, one of the reasons it's not my favorite palette is because I find there's so much redundant shimmer shades in that palette. Now, if you love warm tone, you probably love that palette. You know, because I love cool tones, I can appreciate the subtle differences in these shades. But if you don't like cool tones, then you're not going to appreciate the subtle differences because, yeah, there's going to be redundancies. And that's just kind of inevitable when it comes to Natasha Denona. She does this a lot. Even I know people love them. Biba, Bronze. Those are great palettes, but she puts redundant shades. Shades are either the same shade but different formula, or two shimmers that are basically the same on the eyes so that it's like no different. So you just gotta know that, you know, great formula, but it happens. But I don't think it's that bad. Like, I feel like the mattes are distinctive. You know, these ones are kind of close, but I do see a different, like on the eyes, it'll be a slight difference, but this has more depth than this one. So matte wise, I do think there's a good distinction. You know, in terms of the shimmers, the ones that are going to be the most prominent, you know, these three in the center, this one, and I guess this one, you know, where it gets a little bit tricky about redundancies are like these three, is very similar. There's very slight differences. If you look up close, you can see them. But I will admit, like these three, Rhyme, Stellar, and Neve, they're pretty close, these three shimmers. So yeah, could she have switched something out? She could have. You know, brought some more taupey shades. Like I was wishing for a little bit more from this one. I don't mind it. It's pretty, but it would have been cool to have one that maybe had a stronger taupe base, and that like when you put it on the lid is so it could still be cool tone. You could still pull off a smoky look, but yeah, wouldn't have been cool if we had some more taupey shades mixed in. You could have gone further with this one. We could have taken one or two of these out and maybe switched it up. You know, I'm sure some people want a true black in this palette rather than these gray blacks. You know, maybe you could have pushed further, you know, having, you know, you've a pink leaning, a blue leaning, maybe a purple leaning icy color, you know, because lavender and silver. So we could have done that, put a lavender in here, a black, and then a real taupe. And I think that would have really given some real distinctive shadows. But overall, though, I like it. I liked every look that I created. And what's great is that you can create a solid look just using this palette alone, but then you can go outside of the palette. And so, especially for those who might not want an all gray, you know, because all the mattes are very gray based mattes. What I've done a couple times now, like today I used taupey, mauve. I use mauve mattes today. Another day I actually use neutral brown mattes along with the palette. So you can make the look not too cool tone, not too icy. You can bring some dimension if you bring along another palette. So it is self-sufficient on its own, but it also works great as a companion palette. And that's why I think this is great, that it can work alone and work with others. The formula is pretty good. I didn't really have too many issues. Like I said, this is more of a topper. Not bad. Maybe they could have given us a little bit more, like I said, maybe a little bit redundant with these three. But overall, though, I am actually really happy with the palette. I think it's a good one. It's Natasha Denona. So you're never going to get, you know, a big dud with her typically. So all in all, great palette. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found this helpful. And I hope you come back to my next video when I showcase another luxury makeup item that comes into my collection. I can tell you, I do have more eyeshadow palettes on the way, so don't worry. The content is coming. You know, just I gotta fit it between my real life. But it's just fun to do this with you guys. So if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. If you aren't already following me on Instagram, please do so on Daps_makeup. That's where I'm the most active. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.